Hello everybody. I want to know if you can hear me. Please put on the chat. Can you hear me, guys? Okay, great. Is everybody seeing my screen? Right. So we can start. So hello guys. My name is Enrique Ainoyosa. I'm a solution architect here on Capgemini, and I'm so happy to share with you about a tool that I like a lot. That is the SwaggerHub, and let me show here a little bit about the content. Talking about the Swagger Hub, we need to talk about the Open API because the Swagger Hub is based on. So, what is Open API? There is a standard that help us, humans and machines, to read better or interpret better what is happening in our endpoints. Things like responses, what can we send as a payload, what kind of parameters, all related to the endpoint, will be easier to read from humans and machines. So why? How it happens? So maybe the next image we've explained to us better, and we'll be quick. Oh, let me click again there. So here we can see that we have a way to see what is happening on the endpoint by entering on the code, accessing the code. So there is the way that maybe is not interesting. Take a look and all the things that I need to perform. I need to know where is the code. Maybe we can enter on the GitHub or on the version control, or by entering directly on the solution. But you need to take a look that there is a parameter, that is a class, see what is happening here. But when we are using the Open API or the Swagger Hub, we have already all in a easily way to consume, to use later, as we can see there. Maybe by running this project, we can take a look better too. Let me run. So yeah, sure. Here we have about the summary of what is doing this endpoint, what kind of payload we can pass, and also on the payload we can see what is happening there. It describes all the current integration in our pipeline. Okay, but continue with our presentation. This is about the Open API and why we can use, why we need to use a standard. It is simpler to answer. It's like we can see the OAuth2, the OpenID Connect, this one, the Open API, the API one, and protocols as HTTP, SNMP that are network protocols, etc. So always that we say that we see a standard on our IT industry, the market start to consume. So why? Because it's very easy to consume a thing that is in the correct way that is supposed to do. Uh, there is a standard, so all that you will need to consume will be in the correct or properly way because it's standardized, and it makes a lot of advantage to us at the moment of develop or bug fixing, and all that is related, all the process related in a project. So okay, after that we can talk a little bit about the Swagger capabilities, then about the Swagger CLI, that is the specifically tool that we are going to use. then some Swagger approach, and here we can continue with the capability, and then we can return there. So let me see about the capability. Uh, well, the first one is the documentation. As we can see, we can take a look on what is happening in our code without us, yes, without accessing into the code, just by looking into the documentation, right? And what other things we can think to about Swagger capabilities? So we can perform automatic tests. We can generate these kind of automatic tests, and for sure we need to customize a little bit to perform the thing that we want. But the initial way you can consume directly from the Open API. Other things are code generation by consuming this same standard, and other ways to use or other case are quality gates. For example, for instance, is if you have um, a team that is not documenting well the things, I don't know, these comments is not are not existent, then the people or the teams need to accessing on the code. You know, you can set a quality gate to avoid these kind of things, and works in a faster way when you are thinking developing a new feature or a new thing. Okay, so then talking about the Swaggerly, that is the main purpose of our Hangout. And Swaggerly is a specific Swagger tool, and we are going to use in automation cases like the CI/CD process. And to execute these kind of things in a pipeline, we're going to use the Azure DevOps platform. We have all integrated there. We have the code there, and the boards is like a Jira there. And we have the pipeline that is the main one that we want to access and see what is happening there. So, talking about the automation, I will talk about the automation of Swagger. I will talk a little bit about this YAML document that are the steps on our pipeline. So great. Here we can start with the machine that is the agent that will run this YAML. Those steps is the Enrique local machine. Then we have some variables, and one important thing that I am bypassing, sorry, are these configurations on Swagger Clip. There is a link, and let me enter. Right. If you want to configure automation here using the Swagger Clip, that is the main purpose of uh, this tool, you need to configure. For sure, you need to install this Node.js. Okay, you need to install this Swagger Clip that use the Node.js, and then you need to set those environment variables, and is the thing that I'm going to configure with you right now. Here on variables, I have already a secret key and the URL. Also, you have the you have the options to perform this command. Okay, here we need to set the URL from our SwaggerHub. Then, if I enter again, this command will show to us, or will perform a question to us about the API keys. So for our purposes, we are going to perform faster in the pipeline, and maybe it's easier too. Then we can continue. Uh, it's properly configured, and now I will continue by explaining the YAML. So we have okay, we have solution, Visual Studio solution with .NET 2 .NET project. And here on the pipeline, we need to restore the Nugget packages, all the guys that we are using here as packages. Then we need to build the solution for sure. Then if we have some test existing there, we need to perform the unit testing there, or integration test, or any kind of test that we have. And right now we're going to create the JSON files that are the necessary files that the Swagger needs to act. So let me show you these steps. This step, we are going to install the tool. We can follow this step by step, or this documentation, but I have already set. Then we are going to get the directories here, and know that we are using the PWD. Then we are going to pass through each directory and got the DLL to perform the Swagger command that is available there too. This Swagger command will achieve, or will retrieve to us the, in fact, JSON to be consumed by the tool. So take a look on there. This guy is being performed or generated here in automatic way, and then we can continue. We have an agent for sure, and this agent needs to have the node 2. I'm using this version. Then we need to install the Swagger CLI, as you can see there. And finally, we are going to use the URL, the API keys that we already created, and get all the JSON that follows a pattern, as we can see there. Then we can perform the Swagger command related to the Swagger CLI that are here. All these commands that you are able to use to perform your CI/CD process with Swagger CLI. And right now we are going to create one, maybe other, maybe the get or update here, but you can try all these guys here. So far so good. Let me continue there here. Now let me see if I am following correctly the steps there. Okay, here we are going to talk about the Swagger CLI and the pipeline. As we can see, we have a place that we have our code is the Git, and we have a lot of service that we can create also in other projects, and we are going to concentrate all in one place, in a collaboration place. As we can see, I create this one for us that is on the SwaggerHub platform, and all the teams are able to consume it. And right, we have the code here. We have a lot of steps related to our pipeline. Then we can consume the API for generating the test, or generating UI code, some business requirements as quality gate, and other case of use. Okay, this is already configured. And then let me show you 3 things that you need when you are talking about a .NET project. So here on the Nugget configuration, we need this Swashbuckle. It is native for projects newer than 3.1 .NET Core. Less than this version, you need to install. This one we are using the .NET 5.0, I think. Let me see. Yes. And after you install this Nugget package, you need to configure this one, this Swagger generator on the startup file. Here, we are trying to consume the XML documents that are those ones, as you can see. So we need a place to create this XML to consume. So there are this line of code that makes this work. And the other one is to set this property here on the project csproj and to be generated automatically, because the other thing or the other way is that you need to set here and maybe on the build here you need to set the path, but we are working with a pipeline. Maybe this is not interesting, and we need to create automatically. Here is auto, is true, and it's working okay. So great. Let me see our pipeline. I will run, or let me see if there is something that we need to see. Yeah, we already have the steps configured in our CI/CD tool that is Azure DevOps. And now we can talk a little bit about the what kind of work we have on the SwaggerHub. We have the design first. Before explaining this design first, let me run this pipeline. I think that is better to understand what is happening there. So let me run. Okay, let me enter here on the steps. Know that this guy is empty. We are going to populate it. Okay. We need to be patient. Now it's building solution. Then we'll run the test. A lot of warnings. Okay. Okay. Now it's installing the node in our agent. Now it's installing the Swagger clip on the agent too. Okay. Okay, good. And now it's on our main step. It creates the API for the first one. Let me see what's happening about the second one. Excellent. And let me take a look there on the Swagger hub. Good. So here is our Hangouts project on the Swagger hub. Then we can enter on the first project, maybe. And here we have the version. I'm using the build ID. You can use other kind of build number. For this test purposes, I am using this one. And here we have all that is happening there in our endpoint. So yes, we have one post HTTP method that retrieve to us the Celsius temperature Fahrenheit, and here we have the possible integration, and for a while we have what? Okay, important thing. Here you can see that the trying out is disabled for sure because I have not configured a server, but one interesting thing is the next. Let me run again this pipeline, maybe performing a little change there on the second project. Okay, let me see, maybe no, something more simpler. Entering there. Okay, so there is a hard-coded list. Maybe create other one. Integration. Yeah, I don't know. Git actions. Integration ID. A new git again. So okay, it will not change nothing. Okay, some change. Then some commit there in increasing list of integration. Okay, let me commit and send here. Okay, now it's pushing. Okay, now it's here. There is the kind of commit that all developers like a lot because it's committing directly to the master. That's good, and that's good for test purposes for sure, as we are using there. So here we can run directly to the master to simplify the process. And okay, so what I'm expecting there, I'm expecting that we have for the two service one version, other version, a new version there. Then the thing that I want to explain is that we are able to perform some kind of virtualization or I don't know Azure function that is serverless that will be able to perform tests there with the trying out with the specifically code version. I imagine that you have here a code version that raise a bug. So then you are able to configure there to integrate here the new one in the latest or whatever you want. Configure there in your pipeline. Let me see there your pipeline. And there you are able to perform the thing that I'm going to run here. Maybe on the first project. Yes, possible integration, trying out. Yes, as we can see, we have the Azure DevOps and the Git actions, GitHub actions here. then you are able to perform the same thing here, but with the environment that you want. And that's great for me for test purposes. I really like a lot this feature. And let me see if our pipeline is okay. Yeah, our pipeline is okay. So let me refresh my page. And as you can see, we have the second version of our software. Sure. Then you are able to create here the servers uh, related to the version. So excellent. Let me now continue with the presentation and talking about the kind of design or the kind of working with SwaggerHub. So you are able here we have a link. Let me enter there because the design first is like you are editing your YAML, your endpoint there, and you are going to pass this documentation that you are creating to your team. Then is your team that will adapt its code to match with the API design that you pass on the beginning of the project, for instance. So here, for instance, we have the post that is other kind of things. Let me other kind. Okay, is there. So what about the response? We have the 405. Okay, 405. Okay, this method needs authentication. I can set this on the API design, so it will retrieve to us unauthorized. Then maybe 403 and not enough permissions. I don't know. Then, as you can see there, it's appearing here on our documentation, and your team is able to consume it and create the correct the correct returns to your endpoint by following your design. This is one kind of work with Swagger, and other one maybe the legacy code. So suppose that you have your legacy code in a programming language, as you can see there. Then you need uh, to create the YAML or a JSON file. Let me show you in the pipeline why. Pipeline, this pipeline, edit pipeline. Here we are going to send a file, but this file needs to be readable for the Swagger. So if you have a legacy code, all that you need is create a kind of document readable by the Swagger. So you have the JSON one, so you can create the modeling of this JSON as classes if you are working in .NET. Then you are able to send the this you need to fulfill all these classes and send to the Swagger as we are doing right now. And we don't need, because here on our .NET version it is like a native tool. Then we can just use Use and smile. Okay, let me continue there. So there is the legacy, and you can take a look on API design about what kind of design you can introduce there on the Swagger Hub for documentation purposes or other kind of purposes using this automation tool. Then let me show you uh, one or two things on the configuration that I think that is interesting for us. As you can see, I have a project here, name it Hangouts, and I'm going to enter there on configuration, and we have the teams. Okay, we can create a team there, but it's not the thing that I want to show you. This one. So this is a collaborative hub for sure. You can invite your colleagues there just by writing the email. I don't know, email from email provider.com. Here you can invite and we'll enter there. After enter here, you are able to set the owner permission that he can perform things like delete, create, all that he wants to perform. Then you have the designer that has the next limitations, uh, create, edit, and collaborate, comment. That's good. Then you have the consumer that is just maybe read the documents. And so here is talking about the invite members. Uh, all the things that are there. Here we have just two projects with one or two endpoints, but all that you set here on the members will be applied to all the projects there. And other kind of things that I like there is this standardization. And take a look on there. You can set rules on your model. And what happens there? If you set there one rule or one rule there on the custom rule, so you are able to set if there is a warning message. As you can see there, we get a lot of warning message there in a step, but the build runs successfully, as you can see there, because it's a warning. It is just warning one thing, as you can see in yellow. But if you put a error, you are able to create the quality gate maybe here, and it will fail your build. So it's up to you. There is a kind of rules or standardization, and there is the plan billing and other kind of things. Don't save. Okay, good. And continue with our presentation. Let me see what is next. Test. As we already said there, one of the Swagger main purposes is the testing, generation, code generation, quality gates. And let me see what we have prepared for the Swagger test. Okay, we're we're going to open the Postman to show you how this maybe uh, on this slide we can see better. This SwaggerHub will be consumed right now by the Postman, and we are going to create the test in a quick way. So it's already created. Now I don't want this. I want to get a new. And yeah, we can get for a link. Let me click on the first project. There is the link, or also you can use your SwaggerHub too, but this is easier. Okay, okay, that's right. I want to import and I want to replace, and great. So there is a base URL variable, and let me see what we have on the environment. This variable have this uh, value that correspond to our current server. Let me send here and see what happened. 400 and why? Okay. Here we are sending a, a GUID. So we need to follow a pattern. We cannot send anything there. So let me remove this guy and send again. Great. Now we have the Celsius and Fahrenheit, and that's working. But now I'm going to write a test. We have like a cookbook there that we can choose one, as I am doing. This is a simple test there that I'm writing, and let me send and see what happened. Yeah, the test result is there. Status code is 200. Let me see other kind of test. This one. Response time is less than 200 milliseconds. Okay, let me perform. Let me try to do the test fails. Wow, it is really fast. Let me perform again. No, it's failing. Right, because 1 millisecond. Okay, let me set to 100. Okay, there are the tests for this guy. I will just save it, or click in there and let me see, where can I export this collection? Yes, I want to export here. There is a generated file. As you can see there, the tests are in any place. Let me try to perform a test. Okay, let me perform a save there and export again because I cannot see the test. Export again, yes. 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 And okay, the tests are there. Then we have this file, right, that we generate quickly, and for sure you are able to perform other kind of tests there by using the JavaScript and your imagination. I don't know your requirement there, and then we can set also in our pipeline uh, one step related to perform the test. PowerShell. Let me see one two postman collection test in pipeline. CI with postman API using the collection running. So for sure we have tools already done to set in our pipeline and just use. You no need to develop nothing related to. Just set your new steps here, and you are able to perform your integration test on this way, just by consuming, as you can see. We just import directly by the link. And now we are able to create here quickly the test that you need. And the tests are for endpoint, as you can see there. So this is so cool. I really like. And let me continue with the presentation. We were talking about the test. Okay, now other thing that we are going to perform is the creating DTOs, data transfer object, or UI code by consuming the OpenAPI file again. And Swag Studio is one tool that performs these kind of things, but you are able to create also here on your SwaggerHub by clicking there in the export. You can export the documentation to send via email maybe. I just like to share in other way, but if you want, you are able to share here or to download here, and you can create the client to consume this endpoint here for C#. Let me show you there. Okay, let me unzip this guy and open. The first thing that I'm going to see is the DTO. Okay, come on, Visual Studio. Okay, let me see the Solution Explorer there. Input, output, we have some tests and model. Okay, let me see in what kind of project we are. We are on the second project. So here we have no, this guy is on the first project, not on the second one. But here, here we cannot see a DTO, a properly DTO, because we have no classes, as we can see there. We have a class, and for sure, if we perform these kind of things for the first project, let me try to do again. And first project, download, export, download SDK C#. Okay, let me perform again the unzip. Okay, this one. Let me close the other to avoid confusion. Okay, come on, Visual Studio. Okay. So talking about this tool, you can perform the same thing, but you can choose here if you are working in a C# client, if you want a C# controller with all the DTOs, or if you want a TypeScript client when you download it. You just need to set there the URL, this one. Then you need to set there the output files, the path of the output files, and maybe your, I don't know, yes, and just generate the files. Okay, let me take a look on here. Okay, good. There is a TypeScript file that contains the client. and you can use to perform the in endpoint request. But we are going to see also the details on there. Okay, let me see Solution Explorer. As you can see, this class was generated there as a detail. Yeah, we have the integration ID and the description. Great. Other kind of generate this guy is by using tools as, let me show you JSON to C# maybe, and you can see this guy, and now you have the root object to consume and use as a detail. But here is generated in an automatic way. That is great. Let me close right now and take a look on the next steps. Well, we are on the final of our presentation. So let me take a look in the comments. Maybe I don't know if is everybody is anyone with any doubt. Uh, there are existing doubts, guys, that I can maybe answer. Let me take a look on the chat. I think that here are no doubts. Okay, let me talk about this other Swagger presentation that happened uh, here. It is talking about the Swagger, this other Hangouts that you can see there. You can perform a search on the YouTube channel and look for Swagger. It will talk about the documentation and the things that you can perform there. A lot of examples of this kind of XML documentation, how will appear there on the Swagger. And this one was talking, we were talking about the Swagger CLI, that is the automation tool. So let me see if we have other thing. That was the end.